can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks, I'm Matt, and I'm all by myself because Bruce lied to me. We're supposed to be reading a book by Peter K. Hamilton. Since Stephen, our guest host, has read the Silo series for us, I let him pick one that we would read in return. Now, I'm finished. I believe Stephen's finished. We've been waiting for Bruce, who swore up and down. I talked to him the weekend before. I said, hey, dude, I need to record something. Do we want to record, our own little side cast? Because I had an idea of what we could talk about. And he said, no. We're going to do the book. Don't worry. We'll do it that night, Sunday night. I was like, okay. So here it is Sunday night. And he just texted me and said, yeah, dude, I'm not going to finish this in time. So now I'm going to go ahead and just do my own little podcast here. Doesn't hurt, I guess. And you know what? I didn't have the topic that I wanted. I wanted to wait for Bruce. So I had to come up with a topic off the top of my head. And I thought, you know what? This is going to be easy. Because I remember saying this during my monthly Q&A. Someone asked, I believe, some kind of question in college. I kind of told one of my old college stories. I was like, dude, I got 1 million of those. I should start telling some of those. And so, hey, why not? Why not today? Because I tried to do this for Saturday Morning Semiflange. True story. I asked Benjamin, my co-host for that show, I said, hey, Benjamin, would you like to do our top 5 college memories? Well, no, Benjamin didn't go to college. He got to he went to a tech school. He's a big time. He does internet stuff, IT stuff, but he went to a specialty school for that. He did not go to college for that, and he's like, nope, don't want to do that. Don't have anything exciting to say. So I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just do it by myself. And then I thought, wait, why not do it for Prince of the Universe? Folks, just a little bit about me. In college, if you were my friend, I don't know why. I was probably the most annoying person in the world. I got a lot of friends who say, oh, no, Matt, you were great. You were a lot of fun. But I was mean. I was kind of a jerk. I was lazy. My motto was C's and D's get degrees. I mean, I was kind of like the Zach Morris of college, except I wasn't that popular. I was that, slick to try to pull things off. And I did. I remember one time one of my friends, she was a real good friend of mine, and we were about to graduate. And she's like, you know what? We never had a class together. I really want to do a class with you. Well, we found out that I could take an art class, something that was part of her major, and she went to take this art class with me. I said, I'm not taking an art class. I don't want to do all that. Because art class is basically homework, make your own clay pots and statues and paintings, and you have to put in work, and the better the work, the better the grade. And I said, I'm not going to do that. I suck at art, and then plus I said those are just several different projects. And she said, I'll do all your homework. And I was like, deal. And I mean, honestly, the teacher should have known none of those fantastic pieces of art were mine. But I got an A. I didn't have to do anything but sit in class with her and have fun. And she gave me all the artwork, afterwards. She went, here you go. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I seriously, once she walked away, I went to the nearest dumpster, dumped it all, and then went home. Well, then a few years later, she had kids, and she said, hey, man, I was showing my kids some of the stuff I made in college, and since I made, your stuff too, I was wondering if you still had that, just lying around. I felt awful, and I told her, I said, you know what? That's when I started realizing how awful a person I was in college. I said, you know what? I threw that away. She went, oh, I know you wouldn't keep it. I said, no, I need to apologize because I threw it away the day you gave it to me. I mean, sometimes honesty isn't the best policy, but I felt like I had to come clean. And that's when I started making a ton of apologies to everyone I knew back in college. There's one girl, I think this is the last apology I had to give from college. I say last. I'll probably do another one years later if I come across anyone I met from college. But I remember I met her, it was 10 years ago, and I've been out of college for, 20 years. So this has been 10 years. I've been 10 years removed from college. Or more than that, I guess. Let me see. How old am I? Yeah. So in 20 years, this is 10 years ago. Yeah. I was 10 years removed from college. And this girl, I started a job, my new job, the job I work at now, still. And someone said, hey, yeah, this girl says she knows you. You went to school together. I said, I didn't go to school with anyone. I was homeschooled. And when we moved to Louisiana, my dad didn't like any of the schools here, so he started homeschooling us. So I didn't go to an actual high school. And I said, so, I didn't go to anyone in high school. Well, then it turned out she meant college. Well, then I met her. Her name was Diane, and she goes, "Yeah, it's me, Diane." I was like, "I'm sorry, I have no idea who you are," and I didn't know anyone named Diane in college. She went, "Yeah, you called me Thrifty Nickel." And I immediately knew who she was. Now, Thrifty Nickel wasn't because she was cheap. This is awful. It's because she had a speech impediment. And she couldn't say THR. She couldn't say three or thrifty. So I say Thrifty Nickel. And she go, 50 Nickel. I said, "That's right, Thrifty Nickel." I don't know why I called her Thrifty Nickels. I said, "Say Thrifty Nickels come in threes." And she went, 50 nickels come in fleas. I went, "That's right." I mean, what a terrible person, right? I just did laugh. And I'd always say, "Hey, I have a friend in speech pathology who can help you with that." And I did. I had 2 friends in speech pathology. And here I was mocking her speech impediment. But she hung out with me all the time. I tried to get her to skip classes because I was the poofy little devil that popped over on the one side of your shoulder and told you the wrong thing to do. And I'd skip class all the time. Now, to be honest, if I knew I had an A, I'd skip out. There's one guy, he didn't do roster. He just wrote your name. You would write your name and give it to him at the end of class, so I would just leave. I'd come in at the end of class and act like I was one of the 50 students in his class and hand in my name with a piece of paper on it. That's what I did. And I had perfect attendance, and I aced the test because it was an easy class. So I didn't make all season D's. I actually made a 3.0. I graduated. Perfect B, in a way, is what I call it, the perfect 3.0. For every A I made, I guarantee you I made a C to balance it out, and then B's the rest of the way. But if I knew I had an easy A, I wasn't going to class. Attendance wasn't that big a deal back in the day when I was going. But anyway, I apologized to her on the spot. I said, "You know what?" She said, "Do you know I can say thrifty now?" She said, I went to a speech pathologist like you told me to, and I don't know why I didn't go earlier." And I was like, I feel bad about that because I was kind of joking with you. She went, "Oh, man, I knew you were just kidding." I appreciate that, but still doesn't make me feel any better. And I mean, and we stayed friends until she left the company. And I don't know where she went after that. But, yeah, big jerk, man, in college. So, and these aren't all jerky stories. I'll tell you about a few things. College is, I don't know what it is like now, but it was easy back then. If you knew how to work the rights. I had let me see, I think I've already told this one before. I had a class I showed up late to. I love the teacher. I really did love the teacher. I showed up to all his classes. I never skipped a one of his. It was history, and I love history. Well, we were talking because I talked to him afterwards, after work in his office. We had fun, and he shared with me that he was kind of irresponsible in college. He said, he said during finals I'd be on the bowling alley showing up late for class because I was bowling during finals. And I was like, "Oh man, that sucks." Well, I actually was bowling during his final, and I missed it because I forgot. I lost track of time. And, cell phones didn't exist back then, and alarm clocks in your pocket weren't really going to happen, so you couldn't set reminders back then. I just looked at my watch, I was like, "Oh no!" And so I ran to the classroom. We only had a few minutes left to spare, and I just totally made up a lie. I said, "Look," my car wouldn't start. I got here late. Okay, I'll let you take it afterwards. I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then I felt bad, and then I walked back in there after everyone left and said, "Hold on." I said, "Mr. Bivens, before you give me this test," I said, "I need to tell you the truth." I said, "I was bowling, and I totally forgot what time it was." And he looked at me. He went, "Are you being serious?" I said, "Yes, sir." He went, "That's funny." And then he gave me the time, and he let me do it anyway, but I fessed up. I sure did. I remember I was in a biology class where the biology teacher, it was a grad student. Never take grad assistants. Grad assistants don't care about the class. They're just trying to get credit and get out of school. And I didn't know that. This is my first semester, and she didn't care a lick about that little biology 101 class or whatever it was. So when she handed out her first test, it wasn't even a test she made. It was a test she borrowed from another teacher because she didn't have time. Well, it went over chapters that she didn't discuss with us. And we said, "Hey, ma'am," I said, "I'm sorry, some of these are from, chapter 13 or whatever, and you haven't gotten that far with us." She went, "Yeah, I know." She said, "But y'all should have been reading ahead anyway." I said, "This isn't your test, is it?" I said, "This says Dr. So-and-so." She went, "Yeah, I had to borrow his test." She went, "But you know what?" She said, "Y'all all should have been reading ahead anyway, so just answer the questions." And I thought that was very unfair. And then she even left. She had to study for her own test, so she brought one of her friends there. And she told us, she went, "Hey guys, I got to study for another test, so so-and-so is going to be here. She'll collect your papers. Just give them to her when you're done." And she walked out. And I was like, what the heck? So I had just signed my name to the test so far. I hadn't written anything out. So I went up to him and I said, I walked up to the front of the class. I slammed my test paper down. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, And I turned to the class and said, if she won't, take the time to deliver us a proper test, I said, why should we take the time to take it? And I got everyone on my side. We were all up in arms like, yeah. And everyone started, just throwing their blank sheets of test paper on the desk. She went, guys, you need to sit down and take this test. I said, we will not take the test. And then she goes, I'm going to tell the dean. I say, go tell the dean. Well, we'll tell him too. We'll tell him how terrible this grad assistant is. And so she ran to go get the dean. Well, everyone was in such a furor. I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to go to lunch. So I just snuck out and went to lunch. Dean comes in, tells everyone to sit down and takes the test. And they caved, man. The entire class caved and took the test. And when I got back, they all told me what happened. Said, we're sorry. The dean was really mad. I went, wait, you guys caved? And they went, yeah, sorry. I was like, what does that mean for me? It means I got a 0. And that grad assistant hated me all year long. Now remember, I worked that grade up to a C because I made 2 A's after that. And I was not going to get higher than a C. It was impossible. So I said, hey, look, I know we got off on the wrong foot at the beginning of the semester. I apologize for that. I said, is there any way I can make this up and get a B? I just want, what can I do? And she went, well, she's like, how about you write a paper? It's biology. What do you want? I said, okay, what about the white tiger? Our zoo had gotten some white tigers, and they were advertising them everywhere back in the day. She went, that sounds good. She went, okay, about the white tiger. I was like, yeah, done. And then she goes, okay, so you deliver that to me. If it's good, I'll give you that letter grade. I said, all right, deal. So I remember I worked in an appraiser's office back then. I went to the appraiser's office because they had an electronic typewriter, folks, not a computer, electronic typewriter. It typed as it was really weird. But type things in print or whatever. Electronic typewriters, Google them. So they had one up there, and it was easy for me to, instead of typing something on a computer and then slowly print it out on a slow printer. I said, I'm just going to use the electronic typewriter at work. So I did. I asked my boss. He said that was fine. So I went up there in the middle of the night and started typing away. Well, I got through the first page, and then I realized I didn't have anything to say about the white tiger. I wasn't going to do any study. Remember, the internet didn't exist back then, and I didn't go to the library and get a book. I wasn't going to read it, and I thought, you know what? She's not going to read this either. She's going to read the first page, and then that's it. So I just made up the rest. I made up my books that I read from. I said, and Raja Anji's The White Tiger and Me, or another book I said was, in the book Rainbows and White Tigers by Todd Franklin, he states, rainbows and white tigers. I was just making all this ridiculous stuff. I thought, if I write it long enough, she really won't read it all. It's just jargon. It's just junk. The first page is good, and the last page was strong. I said, that's all she's going to care about. No, man, she read the whole thing, and I ended up with a C in the class. And, I avoided her for the rest of my years there. That was fun. I was in a speech class once. I speak for a living, do presenting for a living, so, hey, this actually tied into what I was going to do. And I'd gone to Toastmasters before, believe it or not, so I was in the Toastmasters club in high school, and I kind of enjoyed it, so I was like, okay, well, do speech. Speech never bothered me. It bothered a lot of people to go up there and talk in front of people. I've never had that problem. As anyone in town knows me, I'm the one to get up on the mic at a wedding of people who I just met and congratulate them both and tell whatever story I know. And I have done that before several times. Oh, no, twice. You invite me to a wedding, and if there's a chance to speak, sure, I'll get up and take that mic. I ain't scared. But anyway, so speech class was fun because you had to do demonstrations, speech demonstrations. I remember I did one. We had a demo things, and mine was wrestling. Wrestling was big back in the 90s, and I brought my little brother up there, and I showed all these wrestling moves on him. It was a lot of fun. I remember that there was 2 other people who got Fs in the school when they did that show and tell. I call it show and tell speech, whatever it was, demonstration speech. One guy was in the ROTC on campus, and he was showing how to rappel down a building, how they do it. And he brought a grappling hook and the rope, the things they do, and he showed how he opened up the window and properly hooked it in there. He said, that's what you do. You loop it around your waist like this, and he goes, and then you rappel down. And then he flipped over into the out the window. We were on the 3rd floor, and he rappelled down the building, and we were cheering. The teacher effed him. She gave him an F, and effed him means something else, I guess, but I'm saying failed him. Not that kind of class. The teacher failed him immediately, and she gave him an F, and I don't think he was allowed back because it was endangering a student or whatever. She was ticked off. Well, the other time she got ticked off was on the next round, and my buddy who owned a snake farm, he said, "Can I bring a snake?" She said, "No, you can bring a rubber snake, but you can't bring a real snake in here." He's like, "Okay." Well, he defied her openly. He brought this huge duffel bag and brought out the biggest boa constrictor I've ever seen. And he's talking about this, it's a python or boa, I can't remember what it was. It was a big snake. And everyone started screaming, run to the back. Well, I'm too stupid. I thought it was still a rubber snake he was pulling out. And I was thinking, wow, where did he find a rubber snake that big? I'm seriously, that's how dumb I was. And then when I saw that it really was a snake, I was sitting in the front row. I was scared to death. But right now, I look like the coolest kid in school because I was the only kid who didn't run to the back screaming. So I was all chill. I was like, well, now I look cool. Now I can't leave, right? So he's doing the presentation. I swear to you, that snake looks at me. And he slithers down Josh's hands, and he starts going up to me. Well, he's kind of, licking my boot a little bit. And I have big brown hiking boots at this point. I'm thinking, he probably thinks those are two little rabbits. I said, if I have any food on those boots, he's going to swallow them whole. And I kept going, hey, Josh. And he'd look down and go, oh, yeah, man. And he pulled the snake back up to him. Well, then the snake would, kind of move around. Then it'd look at me and then start coming toward me again. Freak me out. I'm shocked I didn't piss myself. I really am, because I'm super scared of snakes. But I was like, hey, Josh, the snake. He went, oh, yeah, sorry, thanks, man. And he pulled it back up, and I was like, I was scared to death. But I looked so cool, because I didn't panic over the snake. And I remember I got failed on a speech I gave because I offended someone. It was by accident. I'd said, what did I say? I said, the girl came from a broken home. Her mom and dad were divorced at an early age. She lives with a grandmother. She sees her mom and dad sometimes on weekends, but mainly stays with a grandmother. And we were supposed to talk about our families. I said, well, I feel awful because I didn't have the tough life that I don't know what her name was, Allison had. My family was, we've always been close, blah, blah. And I was just, I was just taking pity on her. I wasn't trying to insult her. But because I think I said broken family or whatever, or dysfunctional family. I can't remember what my wording was, but she was so offended. Well, the teacher gave me an F. I said, why did I get an F? She went, you offended Allison by calling her from a... I said, well, no, I feel bad for her. I'm not making fun of her at all. And they said, well, you need to do an apology speech, and I'll give you your A. And I was like, what? An apology speech? So the next day I got up there to do my apology speech. I still failed, because during the apology speech, I apologized. I said, look, I apologize. I said, I want to apologize to Allison. I said she came from a dysfunctional family, and I didn't mean it to come across condescending. I was just saying that, I don't know what it's like to be raised in that condition, and I hate that for her. And then she just interrupted me and said, thank you. I am happy the way I am. I'm happy. I don't, my mom and dad are happy not living together, and I'm happy living with my grandmother. And I went, yeah, but you don't seem that happy by your attitude right now toward me giving you an apology speech. Boom. Failed the apology speech just like that. I was told to sit back down. Another one is a good one. I can't think of a million of these. But I took a Spanish 101 class. This is my first time around I took this Spanish class. And because we had to take some foreign language, I thought, well, why not Spanish? Now, I ended up loving Spanish, but the first time I took it, I hated it. I remember the teacher's name, Elaine Elias. I'll never forget her name. She was an awful woman. Very hateful and mean and spiteful, just the way every college teacher should be. But I remember we had to translate these words and hold a discussion. Well, the discussion was really weird. We'd ask the weirdest questions, like, I swear to you, this was one of the questions. If you could work in what country would it be and why? And then you had to give you had to translate that into Spanish and then give a Spanish answer. And I was like, that's a weird question. Who talks like that? Well, anyway, I was teamed up with the other lazy bum who I actually became roommates with later on. But this guy was a real big lazy bum, let me tell you. He's still a bum today. But I teamed up with him, and I said, hey, man, did you do the homework for this? He went, no, I didn't do the homework. I went, oh, man. I said, I didn't either. He's like, uh-oh. He said, well, Elaine Elias is going to fail it. I said, yeah, but hold on, I got an idea. And he went along with it, So we got up there. It was our turn. We were the last ones to go. And I said, hola. And the guy just looked at me, and then he turned to me. He's like, no hablo español. Hablo English. And I went, oh, you speak English? He went, yeah. I went, okay. Well, if you could work in which country would it be and why? And everyone started laughing except for the teacher. And Elaine like, sit down. And she went, next week, you will do this. You will do this or you will fail. I mean, I don't know if she talked like that, but she was really ticked off. Well, I turned to the class and went, bye-bye. And I walked out of the class. And I never came back because I dropped the class. I was like, I'm not in deal with her. And they thought I was joking still. They thought I'd be back. They said, hey, you never came back. I said, no, I dropped that class. I later on would go into English, Spanish, and I had some great teachers. One just retired. I think that was the last teacher to be there. He stayed one extra year past his retirement. But he says that he talks to a few of the old teachers of mine. They all remember me. They all still share stories about me because, oh man, Spanish. I could tell a couple of stories about Spanish too, but that's the only one I'm going to go with today. I talk about grad assistants, and I pretend to be a grad assistant my senior year. My senior year in college, I knew a bunch of the history teachers. We were good friends by then. I'd go to their classes just to hang out. You know, I'd already taken their class before, but I really liked their classes, so I'd go in there and listen to another lecture. And they loved me, so they'd let me come in. They all knew me. I was a history major. And one, Mr. Bivens, in fact, the bowling one, he said, hey, look, man, he's like, if you, you come by the class today, I need someone to help pass out tests and pick up tests, and everything. Like, I was basically his assistant. I said, sure. And so I did that for him. I had fun. Well, everyone thought I was a grad assistant. Well, what I would do, I did wrestle WCW entrances. Every time I came in, I'd be Diamond Dallas Page or, Goldberg. I do a wrestling entrance every time I came in the room. I came in before Mr. Bivens, and my cousin was in the class. My cousin was years younger than me, so he was a freshman back then, and I would just pick on him. Well, no one knew that was my cousin. Like, I'd jump on the desk, I'd knock his stuff off, I'd pick it back up, punk, and I'd be like doing this insane stuff. Well, for some reason, they all thought I was a grad assistant because when the teacher came, he just let me do whatever I wanted to and sit in the class. Well, I remember I said it doesn't matter because I'm a senior. I'm out of here. No one's gonna remember this. I didn't mind acting stupid and crazy and weird. That came back to bite me years later because there was a teller. Like, it was about 5-7 years later, and the lady goes, "I'm sorry, but I know you from somewhere." I said, "You do?" She went, "Yeah." She went, "What school did you go to?" I said, NLU. She went, "Yeah, we went to NLU together." I said, "How old are you?" She told me. I said, "Yeah, I wasn't at NLU back then." And she was like, "Yeah, but I think I saw you in one of my classes. You were a grad assistant." I said, "I never went to grad assistants." I said, "What was your first year?" And I said, "See, that was my last semester, was your first semester." And she goes, "Well, were you in any history classes?" I said, "No, I'd taken all my history classes by then." And then I paused and went, "What history class were you in?" And I did, and it was the same one. And she went, "You kept making fun of that boy in the class." I went, "That was my cousin." I said, "Oh no." I was like, I ran into someone who saw me act like an idiot. Of course it's going to happen, right? Of course it's going to happen. Let's see what I have time for. Just a few more. I'll do a few more here. I got to meet Steve Forbes. Forbes magazine. Steve Forbes was running for president back in the year 2000, maybe? 1996, 2000. I can't remember. One year he ran for president. I can't remember what year that was. And he came through Monroe. And so for extra credit for my government class, we could go, and we get extra credit if we told the teacher we were there, because the teacher was going to be there. And I know the teacher's name was Dr. Henson, and so I went to Dr. Henson. "Hey, Doc, I'm here." He went, "Okay, Matt," and he checked off my name. Well, then after it was over, I said, "I want to meet Steve Forbes. He's one of the richest guys in the world. Wouldn't it be funny if a college kid asked him out to eat to Taco Bell, like the cheapest place ever?" So somehow I avoided security. I got on stage and I shook his hand after he got off stage. I said, "Hey, Steve," I said, "Matt Wilkins." I said, "Look," I called him Steve. I was like, "Look, I know you're really hungry and it's about lunchtime. You got to go to Shreveport next, but do you want to catch some Taco Bell before you go? My treat." And he looked at me and he went, he didn't know what to say. And a lot of these politicians, folks, they don't know how to talk to people, regular people. And he went, "How's business?" And that's all I could think to say to me was, "How's business?" And I said, "Business is good, Steve. Business is good." And then, and then his little security people go, "Oh, Mr. Forbes can't talk right now. Mr. Forbes, he's got a very busy schedule. Thank you." And but the next day in class, the government teacher went, "Hey guys, hope y'all were there. Steve Forbes was there. It was really cool." He said, "In fact, where's Matt Wilkins?" I went, "What?" He goes, "Matt, stand up." He said, "You actually got to talk to Steve. I saw you jump on stage and talk to him. What did y'all talk about?" And I went, you really don't want to know. And he said, no, I really do want to know. What'd you ask him? He was like so excited that I'd gotten to talk to Steve Forbes. And I said, and I told the doc what I asked him. He went, no, you didn't. I said, yeah, I did. And everyone started laughing. He went, sit down. Needless to say, that was one of my D's in the class. Dr. Henson was like, he actually asked me one time, he's like, why are you here? He did this. He went, why are you here? And I went, what do you mean? He went, I don't think you are serious about college. He said, I don't think you're serious about anything. I think you're wasting your time in college. I mean, he told me this. This is his life advice, was to give up. He seriously told me that. He said, because I don't know why you're here. I don't know why you're in my class. I don't know why you... I said, look, I'm trying. I'm reading. He said, yeah, but you don't take anything seriously. I was like, I'm trying. I'm listening. He said, yeah, but you turn everything I say into a joke. I was like, because it's bland, Doc. Come on. I hated that guy. We just never saw eye to eye. I wish I could see him again, to be honest. I wish I could see a lot of my old teachers again. Some I can't because they passed away. But anyway, my last year, I graduated college in 3 years, not because I'm smart, because I found a little loophole at the college back then where I had a minor and major align, like the same classes applied to both. And back then, you could do that. Now you can only do it for like 25% of your classes can match it with your major and minor. But back then, they didn't have that rule. And so every history class I took doubled for my minor, which was religion. And because religion didn't really have their own classes, so, or they had maybe a few, but the rest of them were historical, history of Muslims, history of the Jews, history of the whatever, these, right? And so that was part of my history classes anyway, so it all doubled up. Well, the school was outraged that I found this loophole, and they tried to box me in and keep me for another year, but they had no legal standing because I bounced them on their own rules. I got taken to the head department for this too, and I argued and I won my case. They thought I was going to be a lawyer too. I'm not making this. I was offered the master's program for free. The history teachers were so impressed. They thought I was going to be a history. Plus, the history teachers liked me, so they went to bat for me, and they said, "Oh, that kid's pretty smart." And they all thought I was going to be a lawyer because I argued my case and I won. And the department head just kind of sat there and steamed. I said, "I know you're upset, sir, but rules are rules." And I said, even if you do change them, I've been grandfathered in because I have not changed my major. I mean, I had everything lined up to get out in 3 years, and I did. Well, as a slight little penalty, they decided to stick it to me, and they took me in they added 6 more hours to my major that I had to take, and 2 of them were a philosophy class, which I made a straight A in because I'm sorry for philosophy majors, but in that class, all you have to do is quote the book and quote whatever the teacher said, and then add up a lot of junk. It's a blue book test. Blue book test is what I excelled in. I could write about jargon. I could read a book, it's a little bit of a book report, a little bit what you read what you got gathered in the class, and then make up your own junk. And the longer you write in that blue book, the better your grade is. I mean, it was one of the easiest classes I ever took. It was a high level philosophy class, high level. Okay, not making fun of philosophy majors, but that's the key for me getting an A. Maybe my college. Okay, it was a joke. I read comic books a lot in that class too. I'm sorry. I got caught too. There was a film crew. They were filming a commercial for the campus, and they came in to film us, and he saw me reading. They set up the camera, and so I moved to hide myself, and because I read comic books during that time. And then he moved the cameras to get a different angle, saw me reading comic books, and then wanted to ask why he asked what grade I had. The teacher goes, oh, he has an A. And so he said, wow, really? So he just thought some genius kid. It's like, well, there's really nothing to it. He said, you read comic books, but yet you're the one with one of the highest grades in the class. You know that? I was like, yeah, there's nothing to this, dude. He thought, oh man, you must be really smart. No. This class is really dumb. But the other class I had to take was a gerontology class. Gerontology! I was the only one in that upper level gerontology class that wasn't a nurse. When the paper was, when we had to write a paper, mine I wrote out with pen and pencil. Everyone else had a typed up paper. Now back then, English 101 and 102, and English 201 and 202 made you write with pen and paper. Okay, back then, because computers and printers were around, you just didn't always do it. Now I'm sure everything is typed up and everything. But back then, English made you write it out, and then later on you could type a paper later on. So I didn't know. I thought you could still write things out. That was all typed, and I felt embarrassed. I made complete Fs, 33, 34, and I remember the guy's name was Bruce, Dr. Bruce, and I said, Dr. Bruce, and I said, look, I know you're upset because I got forced into his class. I didn't have the prerequisites for it, but I got forced into it because the school made me take one. They were hoping I'd fail, so I'd have to stay another semester. And I told them the situation. I said, I know you're mad that I'm in here. I do not mean to be I don't mean to offend you. I'm trying my best, but dude, I need some help. I said, if you can just give me a D, that's all I'm asking for. I'll do whatever. And I think he kind of realized, okay, this guy's not some, rich kid who bullied his way in, or, he's just a guy trying to get out of school and everything. Whatever the reason was, Dr. Bruce, bless his heart, he gave me the D, and I was out. It was the second D besides government, I think. Now, I didn't get a D in government. Now I think about it. I got a C in that class. But I got a D in that one. Oh, study of rocks, geology, I think. Is that study of rocks? Yeah. Dr. Glaw. I remember that guy. Yeah, never forget him. I was working for the tax assessor's office because I complained to him to my boss. And my boss, not the boss, but the second in command, they said, and she loved me. She absolutely loved me, that lady did. And she went, what's his name? I said, Richard Glaw. And she looked him up. She went, looks like he needs to be reassessed for taxes. I'm not kidding. They reassessed him for taxes. Higher taxes. And they almost did that for another person of mine. Because even after I left the assessor's office, that's the abuse of power there, folks. Local power. They heard me complain about someone else at work. And they said, what's their name? And they started entering in on where they lived. They said, do you want us to assess them for higher tax? I went, oh, no, please don't. No, I'm sorry. Thank you. No, they're fine. No, they're just the way they are. The first time I was like, yeah, he gave me a D. Oh, man. Hey, this is fun. I could do this a billion times over. I didn't even scratch the surface of all the stories I have in college. But anyway, folks, there's just a few stories. There's something to share. Hey, next week, we'll be back. Me, Stephen, Bruce, we'll be talking about Peter K. Hamilton's Pandora's Star, I think is what it's called. Pandora's Star. So we'll see you then on Princes of the Universe.